So hello there and welcome back to the channel. This is Mel's Gaming here with another The Hunter Call of the Wild video. Now for this video we're going to be taking a bit of a festive approach and we're mainly going to be hunting for reindeer here on Medved Taiga. However, there are a couple of extra bonus trophies that I found whilst recording this video towards the end, so I'm looking forward to sharing those with you as well. But starting off, we have a trophy that I actually found on my own map while scouting looking for reindeer, and it's actually an albino female. She is so beautiful and stands out amongst the rest of the herd, although she is fairly camouflaged, of course, on this beautiful snowy map. Now, basically, I decided that for this video, what I wanted to do was recurve versus reindeer, and this was my first attempt at using a recurve on a reindeer. I had a few attempts at actually getting close to this female, but this was the first time I was actually going to get a shot into her with the recurve. And you can see that I was just trying to get her to stop, the rest of the herd started to flee, and I managed to get a shot off before she actually took off. Now that shot obviously got into the vitals and she went down nice and quickly, and we have this beautiful albino on the ground. Now I wish the albinos did have pink hooves, but you can see she does have the pink nose. She's very beautiful. I do love the reindeer in this game. I really prefer the reindeer over the caribou in Call of the Wild. I think the models are much better, though they could obviously still be improved. I still think they look a lot better than the caribou, but I was pretty happy with how that went. Like I said, it took a couple of approaches to actually get a shot at her and, you know, get the nice close-up footage and stuff, because you have the herd moving around, and if one spooks, then the herd spooks off. So it took some time, but eventually we did manage to get her down with the recurve, and it was a double lung shot. So I was pretty happy with that, and we have our first rare reindeer down. Now, the next thing I did was go into multiplayer, again with the intention of using the recurve to take down some trophy reindeer. And the very first reindeer herd that I came across in multiplayer had this beautiful melanistic female amongst them. Now, there was a lynx in the area, which is why the other bull spooked off, and of course the rest of the herd are not, they don't sort of spook off, but they will follow the other animal that is spooked that has run off. So you kind of have that herd spooking mechanic where if one spooks, then the rest of them are going to go as well. But what I tend to do in this situation, because I didn't want to try and call them all in and have those issues that, you know, when you're trying to call in a herd, you end up with all of them around you, and then it's always inevitable that the one animal you actually want to come close ends up being the one that's the furthest behind all the others. So I decided to do this tactic that I tend to do quite a lot when needing to get close to animals, which is run while the animal is facing away from you, and then as soon as they go alert, drop back down and wait. And this is a way that I get close to animals really easily all the time, because when animals are facing away from you like this, they are way less sensitive about noticing you and you moving around. It's just such an easy way to get close to animals. If they are not facing you, you can get pretty close to them. Now, I took that shot and I knew immediately it wasn't a good shot. I saw that it went too high, and I probably should have accounted for the fact that I was under 20 meters at that point. I was more like 10 meters or something like that. And unfortunately it wasn't a good shot, but it did bring her down. And seeing as she is only a female, the score is not too important, so I wasn't too worried about it. I was just more worried about the fact that we brought her down. And we do have her here, a melanistic female, and you can see that shot did go too high and actually hit the shoulder blade. Now, this was entirely my fault. Yeah, you can see the distance, 12.21 meters, so I should have adjusted and I should have shot lower. That's entirely my fault. But, you know, sometimes shots don't go to plan, and I didn't want to not include this. It's not every shot that I make is perfect, so, you know, a combination of trying to get close to her before she ended up following that other bull, a little bit of pressure there, and, you know, I should have accounted for the distance difference. But we still have her, we still have this beautiful melanistic female here as a trophy for the lodge. Now, moving on to the next trophy, and once again we have another rare female reindeer. Now, at this point, I decided to kind of drop the recurve idea, because I was having some issues, and it was just some weird stuff going on, like calling animals in and they weren't kind of acting quite right. There was just some weird stuff going on. I don't know. So I just kind of dropped the idea of using the recurve because I didn't want to keep making poor rush shots and stuff, especially going into multiplayer. So I figured that I would retire the recurve for now and bring out the old faithful Moradi model 1894. And we have this beautiful piebald here now in our harvest screen. I absolutely love the piebald reindeer. They are one of my favourite piebalds in the entire game. They just are gorgeous with that dark fur contrasting with the light. It's almost like the melanistic colour mixed with obviously the pure white coloration, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. A lot of the older piebalds in this game are some of my favourites, like the piebald roe deer, the piebald musk deer, and the piebald reindeer. I think they all look fantastic, and like I said, the piebald reindeer are absolutely one of my favourites, so I was super happy to find her. Now, at this point, I realised I had 3 of the 4 possible rares for reindeer already recorded for this video, and so I decided to continue hunting in multiplayer, hoping to find the final rare possibility for reindeer, which would be the leucistic. So there's 4 rare furs for reindeer. There's albino, melanistic, leucistic, and piebald, and the only one we were missing was the leucistic. And I found this bull here, a small level 3, and obviously you can see he has white fur, but again, the albinos don't have pink hooves, and I was pretty sure that the leucistics also had a pink nose, which they should technically have a black nose, but you might be able to see the sort of grey spot on his side, and I was pretty sure that only the leucistics had those sort of light grey spots on them. And sure enough, when we pick him up, he is actually a leucistic. So this was really cool. This meant that I actually got to shoot all 4 possible rares for reindeer in one video, which I figured for a Christmas special was kind of perfect. I was super happy about this. Seeing as I wasn't finding any big reindeer at all, the only 2 level 5s I found were definite trolls. They were both really small level 5s. So I was really happy to actually find a good number of rares, and I was super happy to actually be able to show all 4 of the different rares off in this video. Now, I did mention that I found a couple of other trophies here on Medved whilst actually hunting the reindeer. Now, this first one was on my own map. Again, while scouting for reindeer, I spotted a lynx that looked a little bit different. Now, if you take a closer look at this lynx, you'll notice it looks a lot paler than the one in the background there, and it's missing the black tail tip, which is a really good indicator. If you don't see that black tail tip, it's gonna be an albino. You can see, especially here with it facing away, they don't have that black tipped tail when they are an albino. Now, at this point, I was still using the recurve. This was just after I had shot that albino female reindeer on my own map. And so I decided, let's try and take this albino lynx with the recurve. Why not? Because it went pretty well with the albino female reindeer. We're in single player. Let's just see what we can do. Now, I had to get pretty close to this female, and I was well within range when she turned and started walking away. So once again, I'm doing this trick where I get up and I keep the animal spotted and I just run towards them a bit whilst they actually are facing away. Again, when animals are facing away from you in this game, they notice you way less quickly than they will if they're actually facing you. So always use that to your advantage. Now, you can see that she then did turn to face me, which meant that I had to try and get a shot off fairly quickly. But I made a shot that I felt was pretty good, but it didn't get through to any vitals, and at this point I was feeling pretty bad. You know, I made that bad shot on the Melanistic, which actually at this point hadn't happened, that happened after this, but making a bad shot on this lynx, I was feeling pretty bad. You know, I don't like making bad shots. It happens to everybody. You know, you take this many shots, you use different weapons and stuff, you're gonna make bad shots. And I always try to include them in videos if they happen. You know, it's just one of those things. But I didn't really know why that shot was bad. It looked pretty good. But she didn't seem to be going down, and at this point I decided, you know, it is a female. Let's just try and get another shot in her so that she goes down. But I noticed that this lynx was running incredibly slowly, so I basically chased it for as long as possible to try and get another shot into it to get it to go down. And eventually she got stuck on these rocks here, and I actually managed to get a vital shot into her. And this was after about, I don't know, a 10-minute chase of just trying to follow her, hoping she'd go down. But even after those 2 shots, she stopped bleeding and wasn't going down, so I needed another shot. And, you know, just with her running so slowly like that, eventually I knew it was going to happen. You can see the tracking distance there of 1.55 kilometres. But I felt less bad about that shot after I took a look at this. This really shocked me. Now, I did not know that the 350 grain arrows have basically no penetration. The 350 grain traditional broadhead arrows have next to no penetration at all. That shot, for me, is a good shot. Like, if that had actually penetrated, it would have gone straight through into that lung, which is exactly what I wanted. Looking at this shot, I couldn't have been really much happier with that placement. But you can just see the penetration is just not there, which I have inquired about whether that's intended or not, because, you know, at that distance, it seems kind of ridiculous that it basically didn't even seem to penetrate past the skin. It doesn't even touch the bone, which if it had touched the bone and that was the thing that had stopped the arrow penetrating, I would have understood, but it didn't. It didn't touch anything. It just barely basically nicks the skin, and that was the shot. So I don't understand really what happened there. And I'm not sure if it's a bug or something with the 350 grain traditional arrows. I don't know. But just be aware, if you are going to try and use them, they are extremely weak, which I wasn't expecting considering how powerful, you know, normally, like, using the 600 grain or the 720 grain traditional arrows normally are, so I wasn't expecting that. But unbelievably, going into multiplayer, I found another albino female lynx. Now, I was super happy to get that first albino, even though, you know, it didn't go to plan in any way, shape or form. I was still happy to get a rare lynx, because rare lynx are really rare, and they're such a cool thing to find. And so I couldn't believe it when I went into multiplayer and I see another albino female lynx at one of the lakes I was checking for reindeer. It's kind of nuts. I'd only ever had 2 albino lynx before this, one male and one female. One of them was on Medved before Revontuli came out, and then one was on Revontuli. So this was really crazy for me to get 2 albino lynx so close together, one off of my map and one off of multiplayer. Super, super lucky. And like I said, even though it didn't go to plan with that first one, I'm still super happy that I got it, and it's, you know, an animal that's going to go in the trophy lodge because rare lynx are so rare. And then we get this one as an extra bonus, which is just fantastic. Such beautiful, beautiful animals. And like I said, if you are looking at a lynx and you're not sure if it's an albino because it's in the distance or whatever, look at the tail, and if it doesn't have that black tail tip, then you're looking at an albino. Big thanks to Cashnit Leaf for giving me that tip ages ago, and it's something that's always stuck in my brain, is to look at the tail and see if that black tail tip is there. But that is going to be it for this video. It was basically a bit of a mess, this entire video. Just so many things that didn't quite go to plan. You know, the whole idea originally was to do recurve versus reindeer, and I was really hoping that maybe I could go and find a diamond reindeer or something in multiplayer, but all I was finding was trolls. And then I end up finding 6 total rares. 2 lynx and 4 reindeer, one of each of the rares for reindeer, which is just... it's wild to me. This is why I love hunting games like this, because you never know quite what's going to happen. And, you know, even though there was, you know, there was that shot that was entirely my fault with the melanistic female reindeer, and I do feel guilty about that. I hate making bad shots. And then that just wild incident with the first albino lynx, where I still feel like that was a good placement on that first shot, just no penetration, and then ending up tracking it for so long because it was running so slowly, and then managing to get that second shot into it while it was running away, which wasn't a good shot, and then finally putting the third shot into it, which actually got into the vitals and dropped it on the spot while it was stuck on the terrain, was just so wild. None of it went to plan. None of what I was intending really for this video went to plan, but it was a lot of fun. And like I said, it being unexpected, what's going to happen, is something that makes me want to keep coming back to the game, because you never know what you're going to find. You never know what's going to happen. And I think that's basically what sums this video up. You never know quite what's going to happen. But that is going to be it for this one, so thank you so much for watching. I really hope you have enjoyed it, and thank you so much for all your support as always. I really do appreciate all of it. But like I said, that is going to be it for this one, so thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.